Thought is energy, and energy is power. And it is because all the religions and sciences and philosophies with which the world has heretofore been familiar have been based upon the manifestation of this energy instead of the energy itself. That the world has been limited to effects while causes have been ignored or misunderstood. He who has strengthened and purified his thought need not concern himself about microbes. And he who has come into an understanding of the law of abundance will go at once to the source of the supply. Today, we're talking about part 4 here, the Master Key System by Charles Haanel. Welcome in, guys, to the podcast. Man, I tell you, we're only on part 4. We've got 19 other parts to go. And a lot of you guys are really, really enjoying this reading, this text. And so obviously I'm going to bring more and more to the podcast. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. If this is your first time listening to ReThink Podcast, welcome aboard. Where you been? You got a few other seasons to get caught up on, but for now you've caught us in a discussion about the Master Key System. If you don't know what that is, go back a few podcasts. I do a really good job of introducing this text and why it's important to you, the audience. And man, you're going to really benefit from it. Doesn't mean you got to stop listening now, but make sure you go back. You do want to listen to the introduction, parts 1 and 3, as a prerequisite to part 4. If you want to support the podcast, I would really encourage you to do so. Take a look in the show notes. There's a number of ways that you can do that. You can be a member. You can buy some of our products. However you want to do is fine with me. You can send us Zelle if you want. We would love to have your support. But thank you so much for being with me today. Let's get started. Let's jump into part 4, the Master Key System by Charles Haanel. So the eye of you is not the physical body. The I, like the capital letter I. And before I get started, this is already one of my favorite parts of the manual, and I can tell you I'm excited to bring it to you. I want you to pay particular attention to the simplicity in which he explains things that, from a concept side, are massive, but he breaks it down in a very usable and layman's way of understanding. So again, the I, the capital I of you is not the physical body. It is simply an instrument which the I uses to carry out its purposes. The I cannot be the mind, for the mind is simply another instrument which the I uses with which to think, reason, and plan. So I'm going to stop right here, and I'm just going to insert this. Obviously, he is thinking and talking about something other than what you believe yourself to be. Most people believe they are their body. Most people believe they are their thoughts, their mind. And here, when I first read this text years ago, it was my introduction to, actually not really my introduction, but more of a confirmation for me that I am not my body. I have a body. I am not my mind. I have a mind. And we're going to, hear a little later on about this I, this big I, and this little me, and how these characters, if you will, play in this particular story. Now, if you listen to any sort of Rasta music or even language, you will know that they understand this concept very clearly, because they use terms like I and I. They understand it very, very clearly. So let's keep going. The I must be something which controls and directs both the body and the mind, something which determines what they shall do and how they shall act. So when you come into realization of the true nature of this I, you will enjoy a sense of power which you have never before known. The real nature of this I is spiritual, and it's the source of real power, which comes to men and women when they come into a realization of their true nature. The greatest and the most marvelous power with which this I has been given is the power to think. But few people know how to think constructively. Few people know how to think constructively or correctly. So consequently, they achieve only indifferent results. This is because the individual is a part of the universal. Most people allow their thoughts to dwell on selfish purposes. Okay? Most people allow their thoughts to dwell on selfish purposes, the inevitable result of the infantile mind, if you will. So when a mind becomes mature, it understands that the germ of defeat is in every selfish thought. Okay? Fast forward, this is because the individual is part of the universal. A part cannot be antagonized or antagonize any other part of the body. But on the contrary, the welfare of each part depends upon a recognition and the interests of the whole. So basically what he is saying is, it doesn't make sense when you understand this concept that you would think thoughts that are contrary or counterproductive to what you say you want in life or for yourself. So with the hand, then try to defeat the eye. You understand what I'm saying? He's saying that a part cannot antagonize any other part. A trained mind knows that every transaction must benefit every person who is in any way connected with the transaction. So you can't cheat someone and think you're going to win. Any attempt to cheat someone to profit by weakness or ignorance or necessity of another will inevitably operate to this person's disadvantage. You're not going to, the universe is not going to reward you for that. Because everyone is part of the universal. So as a part, you being a part of the universe, it's not going to allow you to antagonize the other and benefit from it. Okay, let's keep going. One of the strongest affirmations, which can be used for the purpose of strengthening, the will and realizing your power to accomplish it, is I can be what I will to be. I, the large I, can be what I will to be. If you cannot do things, it is because you have thus far not made the necessary effort. If you cannot do things, it is because you have thus far not made the necessary effort. And he's saying here, now is the time to make the effort. The result will be exactly in proportion to your effort. And if you have problems with affirmations or making yourself strong or purposeful, he's saying use this affirmation. And that is, I can be what I will to be. So every time you repeat it, realize who you are, and that's the large I. Try to come in to connection with that understanding. Try to come into a thorough understanding of the true nature of the I. And if you do, you will become invincible. That's provided that your objects and purposes are constructive and are therefore in harmony with those of the universal principles. Every time he's saying that you repeat this affirmation, I can be what I will to be, that you can build a very strong understanding of your own true nature, and it makes you invincible. So if you make use of this affirmation, use it continuously. In other words, continue to tell yourself this nightly, in the morning, every time that you have any sort of doubt creeping in, continue to repeat this affirmation. And as often during the day as you think of it, repeat this affirmation and continue to do so until it becomes a part of you, until it becomes habitual. Now, this is not so strange or impossible as it may appear when you remember that the world within is controlled by the I. In other words, the ease of working this affirmation into your life, becoming habitual and becoming a magnet for power, this is not an impossible thing to do. You can do this when you consider that the world within, the real world within, is controlled by the I. And that is the same I that is part of that one who is infinite, which is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. It's that universal energy. It's that spirit. It's what you usually call God. So this is not an impossibility. It is absolutely a possibility. So he states here in part 4 that there was a alumni named Lyndon Abbott, Abbott, who delivered an address. And these are the words that he gave to the students. He says, "We are coming to think of God as dwelling in man rather than operating on men from without." Okay? Again, this is being given. I have to go back and research the time period, but this is very this is very out of the ordinary for this time period to be this almost controversial, if you will. Especially consider this speech is being given at Bangor Theological Seminary. This has been given at a seminary. So we are coming to think of God as dwelling more in man than rather than operating outside of him. Okay, science goes a little way into the search and stops, but science finds that ever-present eternal energy, but religion finds that power behind the energy, and it locates it within man. Okay, that's all important that you understand that's located within you, because so many of us are always looking for things outside of us. He's saying that power within, that world within, that I is within you. It's not outside of you. You don't have to go somewhere to get it. It is within you, meaning it is who you are. But this is by no means a new discovery. The Bible says exactly the same thing, and the language is just a plain and convincing language. And he quotes a passage here that says, "Know ye not that ye are the temple of the living God? Here then is the secret of the wonderful creative power of the world within." The world within. So, overwork or overplay or over bodily activity of any kind produces conditions of mental apathy and also stagnation, which makes it impossible to do more important work, which results in a realization of conscious power. We should therefore seek the silence frequently. We should therefore seek the silence frequently. Power comes through repose. It is in the silence that we can be still. And when we are still, we can think, and thought is the secret of all attainment. I mean, this is very acute language and structure, but so powerful a message. He's saying we are so engaged and involved in activity and overactivity, and we're not really being productive. And we're not really tapping into our conscious power. But the silence, the being still, is where the power is. Thought is a mode of motion, and it is carried by the law of vibration, the same as light or electricity. So from this, it's evident that in order to express power, abundance, or any other constructive purpose, the emotions must be called upon to give feeling to that thought so that will take form. Okay? How may this purpose be accomplished? Here's the question. How may this purpose be accomplished? This is the vital point. How may we develop the faith, the courage, the feeling with which the result is to be accomplished? Here we go. The reply is this: by exercise. Mental strength is secured in exactly the same way as physical strength. It is secured by exercise. We think something, perhaps with difficulty the first time, and then we think it again, and it becomes easier. And this time, when we think it again and again, it becomes a mental habit. We continue to think the same thing. Finally, it becomes automatic. We can no longer help thinking this thing. We are now positive of what we think. There is no longer any doubt. We are sure. We know. So this was a shorter chapter, if you will. But I want to just kind of revisit some of the things that he said. The focus, of course, is on the I and the world within. What is thought? Thought is spiritual energy. How is it carried? It's carried by the law of vibration. You know, he talked about the same way that light and electricity is carried, so are your thoughts. And so many people don't realize that. I shouldn't say this. I do believe it, but I don't want to promote it. I didn't know, let's just put it that way, that thoughts were actually things. we think they are not, or that they are trivial and that they don't amount to much, but they are absolute. And they are no different than electricity or light. They are carried by vibration. So he's saying here, your thoughts are very important, and they are the method by which creation happens. Now, how is it given vitality? By the law of love. How does it take form? By the law of growth. What is the secret of creative power? The secret of creative power, it is that it is a spiritual activity. Now, let me just jump back here. He was talking about the big I and the little me. And when I first heard this, it occurred to me that I'm a much more complex being than I was ever told, and therefore that I ever realized. What does that mean? That means that I am not my body. For years of my life, I associated who I am with this vessel that I'm in, and I no longer, I separate those identities now, where before we were one. The same with mind. I concluded that I was my mind, and these were my thoughts. Now, my understanding is I have a body. I am not my body. I have a body. I have a mind. I am not my mind. I have a mind. And even then, there's an additional component. There's a level of awareness, and just stay with me with this. There's a level of awareness within you that has always been the same. It wasn't ever 3 or 9 or 21 or 35. It was always the same. And if you look back over your life, you will see that you had there was a part of you. I'm going to call it this larger I, this awareness that was always constantly there and the same. And that is the light in you. That is the God in you. That is the spirit in you. So as we continue to move through this manual, through this book by Charles Haanel, let's keep good notes and let's keep this at the forefront of our mind, because these thoughts will pile up very soon and you will have a clearer, newer understanding of who you are and the powers that you possess. That is our goal here, and we will meet the goal. Thank you guys again for joining me today. Please make sure you go back to the podcast, listen to it one more time, and come back tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and start doing these every day, or at least every other day. I don't want to space them out anymore. I'm too excited about getting to the material. Plus, I've got other material I want to bring to you. So please join me on tomorrow. Listen to the podcast again. Thank you.